This is W3XRY, and I made this video available to share my amateur radio home base Go Kit components in this Gator case that's easily transportable and ready to go. Just show overall power by HF and VHF. I got the idea of the Gator case from KF9C Alpha, and also learned from absorption from conversations on HF and VHF. And I want to show how I can make this self-sufficient and good for mobile field day operations. Starting with the radios, I got this VHF Yaesu FT8100 about 15 years ago, and it's been working like a champ. Since I had great luck with that and heard great things about the Yaesu 450 Delta, I went ahead and got that from Gigaparts, and it gave me the distance chasing bug just right away, just opened it right out of the box. For antennas, I have a dipole made of two 19-inch copper pipes in PVC for VHF that was suggested by NIRAC, my radio amateur club at NIH, and that allows me to easily reach 40 repeaters in the DC area. And I have an off-center fed dipole for the HF. You might see an outbacker in the background too. I'll talk about that. I'm also borrowing from the NIH RAC. They've taught me a lot over the years. I've tried that on the SUV and able to get most states and a few overseas countries. I also got the MFJ 281 speaker idea from N8SX, also the Diamond SX 400 SWR meter. So on the home base, I keep this on a Lazy Susan to swivel around to easily access any of the components back here. I also got the idea for the West Mountain Power Gate PG40S from him, and has a built-in battery charger and 40 amp fuse as a jumper. It may not be the best solution, but it is pretty clever. Plus it gives me an extra 40 amp fuse hanging around. It allows for switching from 110 to 12 volt. I like using the Anderson power poles and the rig runner, like most people do. That helps distribute the power. I've got the 12 volt input here, VHF, HF, and the fan and the meters on that one, and SWR on the last one. Also have this cooling fan for when it might get too warm. For base power, I use this Astron power supply. I've had that for about 15 years. It's going pretty strong. I would have put the connectors in the back a little bit further apart, but I've not had any shorts. For mobile power, I maintain two of these 32 amp hour worker batteries, and it works well for my purposes. They're pretty lightweight. I can receive both VHF, HF for an entire weekend. And if I'm running 100 watts, I've got about 3 hours of transmission power on each of those. I'm going to extend that with the battery booster by MFJ. And I realize I won't get something for nothing, however. Extending it a little bit more will allow me to go drain it down to 10 or possibly 9 volts to get a few more hours out of it. I use the Energy pure sine wave inverter. That's 2000 watts pure sine wave. For monitoring power, I use the standard analog volt and ammeters, both in the Gator Box and the solar generator that I built out of a DeWalt toolbox. Found I needed another rig runner to distribute power to the inverter and from various batteries. I always have a couple of these lithium 40 volt batteries on hand for a lawnmower with their own battery indicator, and I reduce the voltage with this reducer from 40 volts to 12 volts that you can take golf cart batteries or other 40 volt batteries and make them 12 volt. So that gives me a few extra hours of power for the inverter. I don't usually use those for the radio. So here's the solar generator with the Anderson power pole chassis mount for solar in and DC out. And pulling in about an amp as part of the hobby. Before I have the solar panel on the box. Pretty portable, lightweight, and capable. Okay, let's look at the ingredients of our solar generator here. Starting with solar panel by Rhino G, I believe is how it's pronounced. Flexible, bends to a 30-degree arc, which I don't have a need to, but I like the flexibility and lightweightness. 50 watts, open circuit, 21.6 volts, and operating current 2.84, which I might get out of today. The rest of the ratings I'm not too concerned about for these purposes, but very nice solar panel from what I can tell. I've been draining this worker 33 amp hour AGM deep cycle battery, and that'll be inside of here, which will then have our solar charge controller, a necessary ingredient for solar power, of course, to transition into charging of the battery without overcharging. I'm going to show you, though, the exception is these MC4 connectors used for solar energy and waterproof, and not completely intuitive. I probably would have chosen a different system, but clearly marked positive here, and you can remember it by that little red thing, at least for this, and then the negative here, which I'll hook up to the solar charge controller right there where it says panel. So here's my voltmeter and ammeter. Watch the ammeter drop. So I take the solar panel away from the sun, and now as I increase it and get perpendicular, almost up to fuses. And the 1 amp I just have for the voltmeter, just coming in parallel to the battery, and that's the DC in, of course, and the battery is inside of here. I have several handhelds, as you can see. The Baofeng UV5RA, it's very capable for $30, given to me by Delta Oscar 5 Mike Kilo Kilo while he was visiting here from Germany. Actually helped me get back into the hobby. I can reach about 20 or so repeaters in the DC area, driving all around the Beltway, all the way up to the mountains and to the Chesapeake Bay. Take it on the boat and I can reach all kind of stations there as well. The Alinco DJ580 I've had for 15 years or so. Still working, a little hard to use the buttons sometimes. This is my QSY's Kenwood. Battery died, but I can plug it in if I need to. I've got this radio here for aircraft that I used to use when I was flight instructing in Korea. I made this component diagram to show the basic wiring from power supply, the Western Mountain power gate, through the ammeter to the rig runner, to each of the 2 radios, solar, SWR meter, and the 2 antennas, off-center fed dipole, Caroline to Wyndham essentially, and this copper dipole, 19-inch copper tubes, 2 of those. Here's the field setup with solar panel. I use that monocrystalline 50 watt with about a 2.8 amp delivery. Solar generator that includes the solar charge controller ammeter, so I can see the input from that to the rig runner, and charging the batteries, the 233 amp hour. Here's the Gator case and a Slim Jim stretched with a piece of curved PVC, and the outbacker. Here's a diagram showing the extra batteries that I can use from our lawnmower, these 2 40-volt lawnmower batteries. Reduce those to 12 volts with this golf cart battery voltage reducer. Then be able to charge most anything. I generally don't use this for the radios. Not too comfortable with the power setup for that. And I've got plenty with the worker batteries. And this is my son's Goal Zero Nomad 7. Works pretty well for charging batteries.